I need to score 9 out of 9 on the IELTS reading, but I have no idea how to do it. Now, there could be a few reasons why this would happen. One is that your vocabulary is limited, which means you don't understand many new words from the passages or questions you encounter. If this is the case, feel free to watch this video, where I cover the 54 words you'll often see on the IELTS reading section. The second reason is that you don't know the strategies for the question types. Because of this, you might spend more time on each question than necessary and run out of time before you finish the test. We provided detailed analysis of effective high-scoring strategies in our IELTS course. You can check it out by clicking the link down below. Finally, the third thing that can prevent you from scoring high is the lack of practice. But not just any practice. If you simply take test after test and never analyze your results or adjust your strategies, it will take you a long time to improve. Instead, you need focused practice when you carefully monitor each step you take, analyze each strategy you use, and whether it gave you the results you hoped for, and focus on eliminating the common mistakes you keep making on most practice tests. That's what I usually do with students during my one-on-one sessions, and that's what we're going to do in this video. So today, we'll go through an IELTS reading passage together and see how ready you are for the IELTS test. We'll be working on a text, which is taken from the Cambridge Prep Book 18. We'll analyze the question types, review the strategies for them, and most importantly, learn how to apply these strategies on real tests so that you can see for yourself that this section isn't as scary as it may seem. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to get more tips and tricks about the test, and click the bell icon to be notified when the next video comes out. Let's get started! As always, the first thing we want to do is to read the title and the lead, which will give us an idea of what the text will cover. The passage we'll work with is about urban farming. The lead says that in Paris, urban farmers are trying a soil-free approach to agriculture that uses less space and fewer resources. Could it help cities face the threats to our food supplies? Urban farming consists of two words, urban and farming. You all know the word farming. Now, urban is everything in or relating to a town or city. So urban farming is when you use green spaces in a city or a densely populated town to grow food or raise small animals. These are some examples of urban farms. So the lead tells us that in Paris, urban farmers are trying a soil-free approach. The suffix free used at the end of words means without. So soil-free is without soil. They do this to use less space and fewer resources. And based on the question that follows, the passage discusses whether this could help cities face the threats or dangers to food supplies. As you can see, this passage focuses on the topic of agriculture, so expect to see related vocabulary. Words like soil, agriculture, food supplies, produce, nutrients, urban farming, and greenhouses are typical examples of such lexes. You'll also see many names of vegetables and berries, but don't let these unfamiliar words confuse you. Concentrate on the main idea and on answering the questions. Now, let's look at the questions. Some students prefer to read the text first to get a better understanding of it. Feel free to do this if you're a fast reader. If you're not, it's better to look at the questions first. We have 3 question types here: sentence completion, table completion, and true-false ungiven. Let's begin with questions 1 to 3. I need to complete the sentences with no more than 2 words and/or number. This means that I can use 2 words and a number, or just a number. For this question type, read the sentences carefully. Identify the keywords that will help you find the right part of the text. Try to get the main idea of each sentence and predict the possible answers. Number 1. Vertical tubes are used to grow strawberries, blank, and herbs. The keywords are vertical tubes, strawberries, herbs. This sentence is about what vertical tubes can help grow. The answer is a plural noun. The answer to this question is most likely at the beginning of the text, so I start scanning it looking for vertical tubes, strawberries, and herbs mentioned. I find the part I need right in the first paragraph. Strawberries that are small sprout abundantly from large plastic tubes. Peer inside and you see the tubes are completely hollow. The roots of dozens of strawberry plants, simply put, strawberries, dangling down inside them. From identical vertical tubes nearby burst row upon row of lettuces. Near those are aromatic herbs. The next sentence is about horizontal trays and is no longer relevant. So the tubes are used to grow strawberries, lettuces, and herbs, which means lettuces is the right answer. As you can see, as long as you know what kind of answer you're looking for, a plural noun in our case, find the right part to read and focus on the main idea, leaving out all the unimportant details. Answering this question type is a piece of cake. Sentence 2. There will eventually be a daily harvest of as much as blank in weight of fruit and vegetables. The keywords are daily harvest, weight, fruit, vegetables. A harvest is the crops that are cut and collected, such as the potato harvest or the grape harvest. The answer will most likely be a number that tells me how much fruit and vegetables will be collected. I scan the text until I find this part. When the remaining 2/3 of the vast open area are in production, 20 staff will harvest up to 1,000 kilograms of perhaps 35 different varieties of fruit and vegetables every day. That's the only sentence I need. Notice how IELTS creators use paraphrases and synonyms. They replace daily harvest with will harvest every day, and up to is changed to as much as. The correct answer is 1,000 kilograms. It's important to include kilograms because otherwise the sentence we get doesn't make sense. Sentence 3. It may be possible that the farm's produce will account for as much as 10% of the city's blank overall. 10% is definitely the key word. The correct answer is a noun. As I dive further into the text, I can see that there is no reason why you shouldn't eventually target maybe between 5% and 10% of consumption. So consumption is the right answer. As you can see, the questions usually go one by one, so you just keep scanning the text, looking out for the keywords. Then you find the right part, read it carefully, and find the right answer.
Many of you have been asking how you can improve your writing skills. To help you out, our team has created a free guide containing the 50 most common IELTS writing questions, along with sample answers. By studying these examples, you'll be able to expand your vocabulary and learn how to incorporate relevant reasons and supporting details into your own essays. Feel free to check out this helpful resource by clicking the link below.
Congrats! The first part is done. We'll use a similar approach for the second part. Here we have to complete the table with one word only. I immediately see that the table contrasts intensive farming with aeroponic urban farming. So I'll need to find the section of the passage that talks about that. There are 3 columns: growth, selection, and sale. The last one is only relevant for intensive farming. There are not too many questions here, so we can analyze all of them together. For intensive farming, I need to find a wide range of what is used to grow crops, what varieties of fruit and vegetables can survive, and also who receives very little of the overall income. Again, I try to predict the answers before I read the text. 4 is a plural or uncountable noun. 5 is a plural noun. 6 is another plural noun. Time to find out. I can find information about intensive farming right in the next paragraph. Again, questions like this often go one by one, so this doesn't come as a surprise. We read that. First, I don't much like the fact that most of the fruit and vegetables we eat have been treated with something like 17 different pesticides. That's our first answer. 17 different pesticides is another way of saying a wide range of pesticides. So answer 4 is pesticides. As I continue reading, I come across this information because the varieties are selected for their capacity to withstand such substantial journeys. Answer 5 is journeys. Again, note the synonyms: selected, chosen, withstand, survive, substantial, long. And just as I finish reading this paragraph, I find the answer to question 6, or that 80% of the price I pay goes to wholesalers and transport companies, not the producers. So producers is the correct answer. As you can once again see, if you know what to look for and are good at synonyms and paraphrases, the IELTS exam is not that hard. This is something I usually do with my students in our IELTS course and in my one-on-one sessions. The only difference is that when we go through the text together, I usually ask them to voice their strategies and make corrections if they're going in the wrong direction. This way, they develop the most effective approach to each question type. The point is that you may study the strategies for all the IELTS reading questions, but that doesn't mean you'll be able to use them effectively on test day. This is why you should always monitor your performance when doing practice tests. You should be able to use strategies effectively and adapt them to different situations. That's why in our IELTS course, we don't just teach you strategies. We help you use them correctly in every situation. Now, let's get to aeroponic urban farming. Here I have only one question to answer. Why is its produce chosen? Again, the answer is a noun. I'll find the necessary information in the next paragraph. Produce grown using the soil-free method, meaning aeroponic urban farming, is produced up here and sold locally, just down there. You can select crop varieties for their flavor. That's the right answer. We had to find out why the produce of this method is chosen or selected, and this is the answer. So number 7 is flavor. You can spell it with or without a U. Well done! Finally, our true, false, and given question type. This, along with the matching headings question, is usually the most difficult for most students. The major problem I see people have in my one-on-one sessions is timing. The majority of test takers may even end up getting the right answers, but they spend so much time doing that they simply can't finish all the questions or stay within the time limit. So, what we want to do here is analyze the statements first. Get the main idea of each one, identify keywords, and think of possible synonyms and paraphrases for the remaining words. Predicting possible synonyms and paraphrases is a perfect exercise because it allows you to greatly expand your advanced vocabulary. You can get yourself a special synonym notebook in which you'll write down lines of synonyms for the words you come across in your reading practice. You can use these words later in your writing practice. For example, ultimately, finally, eventually. Cultivate, grow, produce. Decrease, decline, diminish. I usually create Quizlet sets of these synonyms for my students in the course and in the individual sessions so they can review them every day. Believe me, it's a game changer for every section of the test. Now, let's get to our sentences. 8. Urban farming can take place above or below ground. 9. Some of the equipment used in aeroponic farming can be made by hand. 10. Urban farming relies more on electricity than some other types of farming. 11. Fruit and vegetables grown on an aeroponic urban farm are cheaper than traditionally grown organic produce. 12. Most produce can be grown on an aeroponic urban farm at any time of the year. 13. Beans take longer to grow on an urban farm than other vegetables. Sentence 8 is about where urban farming can take place, above or below ground. My guess is that since this is the last section of the test, it will most likely address the remaining paragraphs. Let's test this theory out. As we begin to read, I see that it's true. We learned that strawberries are being grown in disused shipping containers, mushrooms in underground car parks, Shipping containers are above ground. Underground car parks are below ground. So sentence 8 is true. 9 is about the equipment used in aeroponic farming. The keywords here are equipment and by hand. As I read on, I see that aeroponic farming is virtuous. The equipment weighs little, can be installed on almost any flat surface, and is cheap to buy. Nothing is said about the possibility of making it by hand, so it's not given. Let's move on to sentence 10. It's about whether urban farming relies more on electricity than other types of farming. The keyword is electricity. We read that it's cheap to run too, consuming a tiny fraction of the electricity used by some techniques. The tiny fraction means very little. So urban farming needs much less electricity than other types of farming. So this sentence is false. Sentence 11 is about fruit and vegetables grown on such farms. It claims that they are cheaper than traditionally grown organic produce. We'll need to look for the word organic to find the right answer. The next paragraph is just about that. Produce grown this way typically sells at prices that, while generally higher than those of classic intensive agriculture, are lower than soil-based organic growers. Organic produce, soil-based organic growers. So they're cheaper than organic produce, which means that this sentence is true. 12 is about the fact that most produce can be grown on such farms at any time of the year. Notice the word most. Such words usually indicate that you should be careful not to fall into the trap that IELTS creators have set for you. Again, I expect to find the answer in the following part of the text. I see that there are limits to what farmers can grow this way, of course, and much of the produce is suited to the summer months. Most is a paraphrase of much of. Much of the produce is suited to the summer month, so it can't be grown at any time of the year. So the answer is false. Finally, the last question is about beans. The important thing is that they take longer to grow than other veggies. I scanned the text looking for any mentions of beans. And beans tend to take up a lot of space for not much return. So there is no indication that they take longer to grow than other vegetables, which is why 13 is not given. Great job! We've covered one part of the reading section. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments if you found this lesson helpful, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, then focus on other question types as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks on how to ace the IELTS test. And as always, remember that scoring high on the IELTS is not an impossible feat. You can do it. See you soon.